Marc Marquez called out Fabio di Giannantonio for going too far at Mandalika, while the Pramac boss stated that Jack Miller hasn't really shown his true potential yet. Let's dive into this discussion and stick around until the end. Pramac team principal Paolo Campinoti has thrown his full support behind Jack Miller, expressing confidence that the Australian rider will finally demonstrate his true potential next season. Miller, who was facing the possibility of losing his MotoGP seat after parting ways with KTM, was offered a lifeline by Pramac Yamaha, a new satellite team that will compete in the same arena as Ducati. This move represents a reunion for Miller, who previously raced for Pramac during his stint with Ducati. Speaking with TNT Sports, Campinoti shared his excitement about Miller's return, saying, "Jack has always held a special place in our hearts. We're thrilled to have him back with us. He's a unique talent, and I don't think we've seen everything he's capable of yet. I'm really hopeful that next year will be the time when we witness the real Jack Miller." Campinoti emphasized the wealth of experience Miller will bring to the new Yamaha project. Jack has ridden for top manufacturers like Honda, Ducati, and KTM, so his knowledge will be invaluable in developing our bike. Despite being relatively young, he's accumulated a lot of experience and will undoubtedly inject both excitement and professionalism into the team. The Pramac boss also noted that Miller's return has sparked enthusiasm among the team's staff. One thing that stands out is how happy everyone is to have Jack back with us. That's not always the case when riders rejoin teams. They don't always get that warm reception, but with Jack, everyone's thrilled, and that's a great sign. Miller has endured a challenging couple of seasons since leaving Ducati for KTM, struggling to replicate his earlier form. His future with KTM was further jeopardized by the emergence of young star Pedro Acosta, which, combined with a series of disappointing results, ultimately led to Miller being dropped from the team's plans. Recently, at the Indonesian Grand Prix, Miller took responsibility for a multi-rider crash which only added to his frustrations. However, looking ahead to next year, his extensive experience working with multiple manufacturers could prove crucial in helping Yamaha's satellite project find its footing and establish itself as a competitive force in MotoGP. Fabio di Giannantonio expressed disappointment after his intense battle with Marc Marquez during the Indonesian MotoGP Grand Prix, calling it a shame because he felt their fierce fight for position ultimately hurt his chances in the race. The Italian rider representing the VR46 team believes that their heated contest for 7th place during the early stages of the 27-lap Mandalika race may have cost him valuable time and eventually the race itself. Both riders went head-to-head in an aggressive duel for several laps, with Di Giannantonio finally gaining the upper hand. However, running the soft rear tyre, he soon faced an unexpected issue when he crashed on lap 9 at turn 10, losing control of his Ducati GP23. It was a tough blow for Di Giannantonio, who admitted that, although the fight with Marquez was thrilling, it was also too risky for his strategy. Reflecting on the situation, Di Giannantonio said, "We got a lot of information and data from the technicians, and after the sprint race on Saturday, I saw that my tyre wear wasn't as bad as expected. The soft rear tyre worked for me then, so we made the call to use it in the main race, thinking we could manage it by being a bit gentler on the throttle and not pushing too hard on the straights. However, the plan didn't go as smoothly as he'd hoped." Di Giannantonio explained, "I had to make up ground quickly in the beginning, which is where the soft tyre comes into play the most. We were confident we could manage the race with that tyre, but the early battle with Marc cost me a lot of time. I knew I had more pace, and after I finally got ahead, I put in a really fast lap, but something happened that we still don't fully understand. Going into turn 10, under heavy braking, the front just gave out and I crashed. It wasn't like I braked too hard or did something unusual, it just went." Despite the crash, Di Giannantonio remains upbeat, drawing positives from the weekend. "It's disappointing for sure, but we have to stay optimistic. We were fast all weekend, and even in the race, our pace was strong. I know we're heading in the right direction." As for Marquez's take on the situation, the 6-time MotoGP world champion downplayed any concerns about their battle, calling it just racing and suggesting that Di Giannantonio may have pushed a bit too hard at moments, but didn't do anything out of the ordinary. For Di Giannantonio, part of his confidence came from the team's detailed pre-race analysis. After gathering data from the sprint race, where he had success running the soft rear tyre, he and his team spent nearly 90 minutes on Sunday morning carefully reviewing temperature data and tyre performance. This gave them the assurance to stick with the soft tyre for the full Grand Prix distance, despite knowing it would be a challenge to manage. In the sprint race, we have data for up to 15 laps, but the full race is 27 laps, so it was always going to be about survival for the tyre, Giannantonio explained. But I felt confident, especially after spending an hour and a half studying the data. I understood where the tyre's temperature needed to be, and I was really controlled on the throttle. Even though the race didn't end the way we wanted, we were in a good position, and I believe we're capable of putting together a strong race moving forward. Ultimately, Giannantonio remains focused on the positives, understanding that the lessons learned from this weekend will help him improve in future races. Though the battle with Marquez didn't go as planned, the pace he showed throughout the weekend leaves him optimistic for the next challenges on the calendar. MotoGP is no stranger to high-stakes tension, and the battle between Marc Marquez and Fabio di Giannantonio at Mandalika was a perfect example. While Di Giannantonio felt the fierce competition hurt his chances, Marquez brushed it off as typical racing. For a younger rider like Di Giannantonio, it's a tough lesson in managing pressure and pacing during intense battles. Di Giannantonio's frustration stemmed from a strategy that backfired. Betting on a soft tyre after successful data from the sprint race, he lost valuable time fighting Marquez. His post-race reflection highlights both the disappointment and determination to learn and improve from the experience. On the other side, Jack Miller's return to Pramac Yamaha is more of a comeback story. After facing uncertainty with KTM, Miller's reunion with Pramac has sparked optimism, especially from team principal Paolo Campinoti, who believes Miller still has untapped potential. This new chapter could revive Miller's career if he capitalizes on this opportunity. Miller's warm reception at Pramac is noteworthy. Not every returning rider is welcomed with such enthusiasm, and that boost could be exactly what Miller needs to regain his confidence. Now he faces the challenge of turning past frustrations into solid performances. The Marquez-Di Giannantonio clash shows the fine line between pushing limits and maintaining control in MotoGP. While Marquez's experience allows him to stay composed, Di Giannantonio's learning curve reflects the growing pains younger riders face. These moments will only shape their future encounters. For Miller, the upcoming season with Pramac Yamaha is a fresh start. Both he and the team are eager to prove themselves, and with his wealth of experience, Miller has a chance to finally show the MotoGP world what he's truly capable of achieving. Hey MotoGP fans, don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with all the latest action.